Hello children, today we are going to start off with new chapter, which is the fifth chapter of your course book, that is Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. So far you have been through 4 chapters of your course book. Now in this chapter, we shall be discussing the various types of natural vegetation in the country. Besides that, we will also discuss the wildlife of the country and certain important measures which have been taken by the government of the country to conserve our wildlife and our nature. Let's first try to understand certain key terms in this chapter, right? So very first thing that we need to understand is the term vegetation. So when we talk about vegetation, we normally mean to say plant species. These plant species can be trees, these can be grasses, these can be shrubs, these can be herbs, these can be any other such plant species which come to your mind right now. Right? Now, all the plant species that are present on the surface of the earth or in any geographical region are not same. Right? When we talk about the terms natural vegetation, we mean to talk about such plant species which grow naturally in its geographical environment. Let's talk about the natural vegetation and wildlife in India, right? So when we talk about the key terms first, we need to understand the term vegetation first. When we talk about vegetation, we mean to say any type of plant species that come to our mind. It can be trees, it can be grasses, it can be herbs, it can be shrubs, right? So all these plant species which can be found in a geographical region, we refer to as vegetation. Now this vegetation we can divide this vegetation into 2 important groups. One and the foremost group of the vegetation is which grows naturally, right? So we call that group of the plant species which grow in association with one another in a given geographical or environmental framework. We call that as natural vegetation. That means all plant species which grow on their own, which have not been supported by mankind, right? All such plant species are referred to as natural vegetation. And we have more plant species which do not grow naturally, which have been identified by man, which have been selected by man, and those plant species are supported by man, and those plant species you can see in your kitchen garden, and those plant species you can see in your orchards, and those plant species you can see in our agriculture fields. All such plant species, we call them as domestic plants, and they are generally referred to as crops. So we have 2 important groups of plant species. One group is that plant species which grow naturally, and another group is those plant species which are grown with the support and with the help of mankind. When we talk about the natural vegetation, if we compare natural vegetation with that of the crops, so natural vegetation grows naturally. We do not support it. We do not give water to such plant species. We do not apply fertilizer to such plant species. We do not help their growth and distribution. But when we talk about the crops, so we apply fertilizer to crops, we apply pesticides to our crops, we supply water to such plant species. So these are grown with the help of the support of man. And the natural vegetation are those plant species which are generally free from human supported interference, right? So if we add up these natural vegetation, that is the plant species growing naturally, and the crops, that is the plant species that are grown with the help of and support of mankind, together they form a larger group. So if we have a larger group of plant species, we need to redefine them, right? So we need to coin a new term to describe them. So we coin a term which is as the flora, right? Flora is a term used to describe both natural vegetation and the crops taken together, right? So flora refers to all plant species, be it part of the natural vegetation or part of the crops that man grows. Together they form a larger group, and that larger group we call as flora, right? So this flora is of varied range, this flora is of varied size, this flora is of varied functions, right? All plant species are not same. Plant species vary in terms of their shapes, plant species vary in terms of their size, plant species vary in terms of their functions, plant species vary in terms of their mode of nutrition, plant species vary in terms of their mode of reproduction, right? So anyways, they have a very wide range, right? And when we talk about plant species of a geographical area or of a time period, so we refer to them as flora, right? Let's keep this term flora at a standby mode for some moment, and let's move to the wildlife. When we talk about wildlife, so generally we refer to those animal species which live in their natural habitats, right? Animal species which live in their natural environments, animal species which are not supported by mankind, right? You can see a lion in the forest, you can see a fox in the desert, you can see snakes and animals like that living in the wild. All those animal species which live in their natural environments, in their natural habitats, are referred to as wildlife, right? But we have some animal species which do not live in their natural environments. If we talk about a cow, if we talk about a horse, if we talk about sheep, if we talk about goat, if we talk about buffaloes, and those animal species do not live in their natural environments, right? Such animal species, they have been tamed by mankind for our own purposes, right? For our own benefits. So they are not wildlife. Wildlife is only those animal species which live in their natural habitats, right? We do not support their growth in general. We do not help them. We do not help their reproduction. We do not help their growth and development. But when we talk about the animals at home, when we talk about the cow, when we talk about goat and sheep, even poultry, even the chicken, so we help their growth, we help their development, we support them, we help them in many ways. So they are tamed by mankind for our own use. So we call them as tamed animals, pets or domesticated animals. So wildlife, animals living in the wild, animals living in their natural habitats, and the domesticated animals, animals which have been tamed by mankind, together they form a larger group, right? So again, when we have to describe a larger group of animals, which includes both the wild animals as well as our domesticated animals, they become a larger group. When we have to describe and denote a larger group of animals, we need to find a new term to describe them. So we describe them as fauna, right? So fauna refers to all animal species, be it a lion in the forest or a cow at home, be it a tiger in the wild or a horse at home. Together we call them as fauna. So fauna refers to all the animal species belonging to a geographical area or a time period, right? Both those animal species which are supported by mankind and those animal species which are not supported by mankind and are not intervened by mankind to that great level, right? So together they form a larger group which we call as fauna. So here we again need to understand that the way flora or the plant species have a very wide range, similarly the animal species also have a very wide range. They are of different shapes, they are of different sizes, they are of different modes of nutrition, they have different modes of reproduction, they have different habits and different purposes, they fulfill different uses and purposes and functions for mankind. So they are diverse in their nature. Same is true for the animals as well as the plant species of any geographical area, right? But if we take up all naturally growing plant species, that is natural vegetation, and the crops, that is the plant species grown by mankind, and the wild animals, that is the animals living in their natural environments, and the domesticated animals, animal species which are supported by mankind. Together these four groups, they form a larger group which we refer to as biodiversity. We refer to as biodiversity. All of them have a diversity, all of them have a range, because this range is not of the non-living things. It is not like that of a sand particle, a pebble and a stone and a rock, right? It is not like that of a bicycle, scooter and motorcycle and car and bus and van. It is a diversity of living organisms. So that diversity of living organisms we refer to as biodiversity, right? It is diverse in its range that I discussed earlier, and because it is the diversity of the living organisms, that is why together they form biodiversity. So when we define biodiversity, we can define it as all plant and animal species, that means both flora and fauna. All plant and animal species belonging to a geographical area or a time period is referred to as biodiversity, right? Is it clear up to here? Right? Let's move forward. Now we need to understand that these plant species, they have certain relationships with one another. Plant species have certain relationships. So what kind of relationships? The first and foremost relationship to natural vegetation or any set of plant species, the first and foremost relationship is the common environment. If we talk of a coconut tree, we talk of a banana tree, we talk of an orange tree, we talk of an cashew nut plant. So what happens? All these plant species are capable of living in the same environment. If we talk of a walnut tree, if we talk of an apple tree and walnut tree, they cannot survive in the environment in which the banana and coconut tree survives. So that means there is a special group of plant species which can survive in certain common environmental setups, right? So they make a family-like structure. They make up a family of the living organisms, right? Same is true if we talk about the apple tree, if we talk about the walnut tree, if we talk about the almond tree. These plant species can survive here in the north, right? But these plant species cannot survive. You will not see a coconut tree in the orchard of an apple, right? Because it doesn't share such kind of common environment. It cannot sustain in this kind of environment, right? So these plant species which grow in a particular geographical environment, they grow in association with one another, right? They have certain things to be in common. They share certain common things. They have certain resistances against the environment or certain flexibilities against the environment. That is why a particular set of plant species grows in a particular environmental setup, forming a family, right? And all plant species do not grow in this in one environment. There are certain plant species which grow in some other type of environment, right? So same is true for animal species. So these plant species and animal species which belong to a region, they have interrelationships. So most important relationship I have mentioned. Other than that, the plant species and animal species have more relationships. You must have heard about the food chain. You must have heard about the food web. So that describes the relationship between plants and animals and within the animal species, right? You must have heard about the exchange of gases between the animals and the plant species, right? So plant species prepare oxygen that animals use, and animals produce carbon dioxide that the plant species use, right? So they are interrelated. They have interrelationships. That is not all. They also have a relationship with that of their physical environment, right? They are not independent of their physical environment, be it plant species or be it animal species, right? With their wide range, with their diverse structure, with their diverse functions, with their diverse shapes, they have a relationship not only within themselves, not only between flora and fauna, not only between plant species, not only between animal species. They have a relationship. Besides their internal relationships, they have a relationship with that of their physical environment. And if we consider this wide range of plant and animal species, that is their biodiversity, and their interrelationships, right? The relationships between the plant species, the relationships between the animal species, the relationships between the plant species and animal species, right? So if we consider this wide range of plant and animal species, and we consider their interrelationships and their interdependence, and their dependence with that of their physical environment, that makes a new thing for us that we call as ecosystem. We call that as ecosystem. That means if we are going to define ecosystem, it is this wide range of plant and animal species, right? So ecosystem is this wide range of plant and animal species, right? And their interrelationships and their interdependencies, as well as their dependence with that of their physical environment. That together makes up the ecosystem, right? If we talk about the ecosystems in the world ecosystems have been divided for the purpose of studies into as many as 5 large ecosystems, which we refer to as biome. So what is a biome? Biome is a large ecosystem mainly identified on the basis of the plant species for the purpose of studies and research, right? So world ecosystems for that very purpose have been divided into as many as 5 biomes, right? So you must first know the definition of biome. What is biome? Biome refers to I repeat, biome refers to a large ecosystem which has been identified mainly on the basis of plant species living therein in order to study and do the research work. So world ecosystems have been divided into as many as 5 major biomes. I will mention names of those biomes. First is the forest biome, then we have the savanna. Savanna refers to the tall grasslands, right? Then we have grasslands, which are the medium sized and short grasslands, and besides that we have desert biome, and then we have tundra biome. These are 5 biomes in which the ecosystems of the world have been divided, right? Is it clear up to here? So up to here you need to understand these key terms. After this we will move to the factors which control the distribution of natural vegetation in the country, and then we will move to the various types of natural vegetation in the country. I hope up to here you will be clear with these key terms, and inshallah next time we will be moving forward with the factors and the types of natural vegetation. Thank you very much.